Well, thank you for watching this short video on customer profile submission. We're going to keep this really short, maybe to 5 minutes here, and show you a couple things. So here at Nintex, we do a lot of different things around automating processes. And really what we do is we sit right in the middle of all your applications and help orchestrate the processes. So when it comes to this customer profile scenario, I'm going to show you first of all how we map out that process within our ProMap tool to kind of define what that process is. And then leveraging several of our tools here at Nintex, we're going to automate that process through the creation of a form, automation of the process with workflow, and we're even going to generate a document. And if we wanted to, we could even send it off for signature. We won't get into it today, but we can also wrap all this around with analytics so that you can see how many of these submissions have come in, how often, where they're at in the process. Really easy to be able to do that. So the entire suite of tools at Nintex, I'm going to focus on ProMap real quick first, how we built the intake form, the workflow to automate it, document generation to generate it. We won't show you signature today since we didn't need one on this one, but really, really cool to be able to automate this process. So let's start with the ProMap tool first. So what this is prior to building your workflow, you may want to come out and just gather requirements and define what that process is. So in the customer profile submission, I took maybe 5 minutes to put this together. And what this allows you to do is see a map of the process. You'll see the different swim lanes here. Someone in sales is probably going to fill out the intake form right here. Salesforce, we're going to go over and create that record. The workflow is going to do that. And the workflow designer is going to also generate the document. It's going to upload it into Box. And then once it does that, we're going to go through a series of approvers. So you'll have the DOS approver, the profile team approver, VP approver, DM final approval, and then Mahoney approval. I'm assuming Mahoney's a person. And then over here, after Mahoney's approval, we're going to jump up here, item number 10. We're going to get the file that these individuals have been approving and modifying, and we're going to grab it from Box because all these approvals, they may be making changes to that document. We're going to store that document or file back in Salesforce and then finally send it out in an email. But really cool to see the process mapped out here, and you're going to be able to click on any of these activities in order to initiate the process and see other details. Now, the reason why it only took me maybe 5 minutes to create this entire map is we have what's over here on the Edit tab. You can simply jump in here and fill out the outline. So you click Add an Activity, you got the form here, you give it a title, who's responsible for it, and then put some notes in here and tasks. So you'll see here, I just put a little web link right there. So really, really easy to fill out the outline. And what's nice about this is as you make changes to the outline, it redraws the map for you automatically. So you don't have to spend all that time like you did in Visio going out here and drawing the map and bringing the boxes on, connecting the boxes. All of that happens for you automatically. So if you change a decision point, maybe remove one, change the user or role that's involved with it, very, very easy to keep that updated. And there's a ton of stuff down here related to feedback, change log, documents, cycle costs for every time you run this, systems involved, just tons and tons of stuff. You know, notice down here it's already tagged several of these systems for us automatically. So really, really handy for that. So that is the piece of defining the process. This really helps you when you go to build this out. And by the way, we're going to have a button up here in a few months that'll actually build out what I'm getting ready to show you automatically. So it'll automatically build out the skeleton of the workflow. But let's go ahead and get started and fill this form out. So if I was a new employee and I wanted to know where that form was, just simply come out here, click on that link, and it's going to open up the form for you. So this is the Nintex workflow form that we're going to be able to fill out and get this process started. Now I'm going to fill it out over here in the other browser so we can give you an idea what's going on. So here is the actual Nintex workflow engine that's going to drive us through the process. So this is how we actually automated the process. So 200 and some actions on the left-hand side, just simply drag those actions over, drop them, click on them, and you'll configure them right here on the right-hand side. So really, really easy to be able to build and manage these workflows. This is why folks in the business, not necessarily in IT, can build and manage their own workflows and forms. All right, so let's walk you through this. We've got the form that we're going to fill out. Data is going to go to two different places. First place it's going to go is the Salesforce. So I'm going to refresh the Salesforce page here, and you're going to see that we only have one account in Salesforce, soon to be two once we fill out this form. Any files that are associated to this, we're going to upload here to Box. So let's upload Box, just make sure there's no smoke and mirrors here. And we have two files up here in Box. Now, what we want to do is we want to come out and fill out this form now. So let's say this is ABC Corporation. They are located at 421 Jump Street in Atlanta, Georgia. And let's say sales segments enterprise, industry is financial, subsegment, I don't know what subsegment this is. Let's say banking. And we need a company logo. So let's go and find a logo here. I've got a Nintex logo. We'll just use that just for kicks, because we're going to use that when we generate the document. Also, sales contract, sales district. Let's say we're going to click off here, face-to-face. We got DB Cooper, Leroy Brown going to be involved in here. Company profile, great company. We'll put a note there. And we're just going to click next because we want to continue on to the next piece of the form. All right, so let's establish some contacts. Mr. Leroy Brown, who is a manager. We'll grab a role here. And all these fields that I'm filling out, you get to determine what they are in here. Target contacts. Let's see. We'll put DB Cooper in here, who's also a manager. And DB Cooper is an influencer. So next, we've got some pre-populated information here. So you'd be able to come in, put some information in for annualized revenue. Next, strategic summary of the relationship. We'll just say summary here to get some text in. Talking points here. So we're capturing all this data. And what we're going to do is go ahead and hit submit. The Nintex form that we filled out can be available to anonymous users, and it can also be available to only authenticated users. So you can go both ways with this. The other thing that's really nice and handy about this is that the Nintex form that we are filling out can also be available on a mobile device as well. So if you happen to have or leveraging our mobile app, you can use this on the mobile device so you can fill it out in the field. So I'm going to bring up my phone here real quick. You'll see we have the mobile app, Nintex Mobile, on our phone. And by the way, using our App Studio product, you can rebrand this as your own app. So put your UPS logo on there, sales, whatever you want to call it. So we can open that up. We're going to come out here and we're going to see a whole bunch of forms. And we have a form out here for UPS, the customer profile form. Exact same form I just showed you on the desktop. It's just available on the mobile device. So that way you can be on your phone and fill it out. It's completely responsive, so it responds based upon the device that you're on. And so that way you could come out here, fill out the form, and you don't have to scroll around. It's just everything stacked right on top of each other, and you can go out and use it. Hit submit, and you're off to the races. The other cool thing about this is you have offline access to the forms. So if you don't have an internet connection, you can still fill it out. And all the approvals that I'm getting ready to show you can also be available on the mobile device as well. So any task you have assigned to you, they're shown right here. You can simply open up those tasks, approve, deny them, whatever you need to do to complete each of those tasks that are out there. So big fan of the mobile device. Now, over in Salesforce, let's go over and refresh the page after that item was submitted, and we should, there it is, ABC Corporation. We see that account was created. We can open that up, and we have created the account. And when you click on the details, we'll show that we have that 421 Jump Street address in here. And here in a little bit, we'll see some additional information because we want to take that document and ultimately store it up here. But for the time being, we're going to jump out to Box and see if anything's happened over here. And look there, we have our document that was just uploaded. So ABC Corporation _ GA Financial. So we've taken that data, meaning it was the financial sector, and we've created that document right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that document up, and we're going to see a preview of it. Now, this is a Word document, and we've got my Nintex logo, ABC Corporation, the address. We used our document generation tool to create this document on the fly with the workflow. So we took a template that was in Word and we injected all that information from the form. Remember those check boxes? Sales district manager was DB Cooper, vice president was Leroy Brown, enterprise financial banking, down here's the contacts. All the data that we typed into that table is now into the document. All that information is really, really great out here. We've got the text that I type in, summary, talking points. So we've dynamically generated this document on the fly, and we've stored it directly within the Box website. So we're really orchestrating this process at this point. Now, we need to do a couple things. First thing that we want to do is we sent this out, or are sending this out for approval. So let's open up my email box, and all the emails in this example are coming to Leroy Brown. But we're going to go ahead, and there's a new email that just came in. You'll see down here it's 35 minutes past the hour. This came in a minute ago. And we've got this email for, and this is the DOS approval. So in here, the individual who is assigned this task can just click on this link right here, and you'll see, let me drag it over here on the screen, that document immediately opens, so they've got access to it. Furthermore, they can come in and make edits to this document. When they're done making the edits, just close it out because it saves. But here is the approval. So we're saying, hey, please update information in the document. Once complete, respond to the task. So here's the task. We open that up. The DOS approval is going to happen right here. This is a task form. So in the task form, this individual is going to open this form up. They can click here to view that item, and just go ahead and hit submit when they're done, because they're done making their changes. And what's going to happen is that's going to process the workflow right on to the next step, and I'm going to get another email again here in just a second. And so if we follow along in the workflow designer, open that workflow designer back up, you'll see the steps here. The form was step 1. We created the record in Salesforce, we generated the document, we uploaded it to Box, and we put this little state machine in here. And we're stepping through the state machine at this point, and I'll explain all this to you in a minute. So DOS made their approval, then it goes to the profile team, and you'll see that the task is assigned right there. Now for the profile team, here's the email that they get. And we'll see there again, open up the document to see it. This time they get a slightly different task form. And in this one, they're able to actually reject it or assign it back to the reviewer. The previous task, they just said, hey, I looked at it, submit, good to go. In this example, they're going to come out and look at the document again, but they can make some edits, or they could send it back to the previous reviewer and tell them to make some additional edits. So what we're doing is we're putting a loop in here to say, hey, I don't like the document, go back to the previous person, they need to make some changes. You could even determine who that reviewer is if you wanted to. So at what step in the process do you want to go back to it? So we're not going to do anything there. We're just going to go ahead and approve it and hit submit. So happy day for that one, going right on to the next step. And you're going to see additional emails come in, because in the workflow that we've defined, there's something like 5 or 6 different approvers that need to approve this item as we're going through the process here. Also, each of these individuals, if they have the mobile app on their phone, they're going to get a little push notification that says, hey, you got another task that you need to approve, come and look at this document, and they can do it all via their phone. So again, another task, VP approval. At this point, we'll open up the task here. Now, obviously, they would go and open the document up, check it out. But similar to the previous one, they're going to be able to make edits to it or assign it to a different role. So we'll make the edits. If we needed to, go ahead and hit submit. So we're going to keep going through the process until we get to the final approval. So we've done DOS, profile team, VP, we have DM final, Mahoney, and then we'll see the final document at the very end. And so we'll get that final email. So I'll give this just a second for another email to come in, and we'll make 2 more approvals and then move on. So there's the other one. Again, make this approval. Let that load, review it, submit it, and then we'll go on to the final email here. And so I believe Mahoney should be the next one and the final one. So really handy to be able to route this around as needed based upon your process. And when your process changes and you want to add an individual in the approval process or remove, it's very, very easy to kind of tweak the workflow in order to do that. So we'll go ahead and have our final email coming in right here. Now, the workflow designer, this is made for project managers, business analysts, those kind of individuals. They can come out here and kind of build, manage their own workflows and processes. So let's go ahead and hit reviewed. We're done there. So we've made it through all of our approval steps. Last piece I'll come back to here at the end is one thing we're going to do in the workflow after the Mahoney approval over here on the right-hand side is we're going to come down here to the bottom, and we're actually going to grab that final document from Box, because what we wanted to do was allow Box to be the place where we're doing all the edits and modifications as we're working on it. But once we get the final approval and everything's good to go, and this is the executed copy that we're using, we want to take that file, upload it into Salesforce, and store it there for its final destination. So here in a minute, when we see that email, we will know that we got the file uploaded to Salesforce. And then we're going to send out this final email notification here that says, hey, a final account profile has been added to Salesforce record. All edits of the document, are found either in Box and here at the same time. We're going to do both just for kicks. So here in a second, that email will come in. And what we'll do is we'll then be able to come into Box here or not Box, but Salesforce, refresh the page. And when we do, there it is, notes and attachments. We now have that ABC Corp final documentation, and we orchestrated the process so that we got that final document up into Salesforce. Now, how did we do all that? The way we did it is we took and built a workflow. Literally probably took maybe 30, 45 minutes to create this workflow. So if we come up here, we'll see that the start event of the workflow is the form. We can make it available for mobile devices. And right here is where we actually built that form. So drag and drop interface, you literally just come over here, grab a field, drag it over and drop it. So we're going to put email address there. Maybe you want it to be on the other side of company, or maybe you want it to be on a line by itself. Anyways, each of these controls, you just click on them. And when you come in here, you can modify that control. Make it required, visible, read only, put placeholders in there. Whatever you want to do with this field, you can come in and configure it. So literally, you just come over here and drag these elements onto the page. UPS logo here is literally just a label. So we grab the label field, or not the label, but the image field, and then you choose where that image lives. And you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you want to do with it. The tabs up at the top here, really easy to configure. You just click on pages. I call them tabs, Dentex calls them pages. And you just simply come in here and call them whatever you want, add additional tabs, remove them. Really easy to do all that. And then you can also come in here and put rules on the form as well. So if you want to hide and show based upon condition, maybe redirect them to a thank you page, whatever you want to do, you can do that. So Form Designer is really nice to build out the form. It's simply just the first step in the process of the workflow. What we're going to do is step through the workflow. The integration with Salesforce, super easy. You don't have to have IT involved. Just simply go over here to the left-hand side, come to the Salesforce section, create a record. We can drag that over, and then we can go over here and modify that record. Now in this scenario, the record that we're going to create is right here. So Leroy Brown is the account that we're going to use. So we have a little place where you can store all these credentials, and it loads all the objects that you have in Salesforce. So in this example, we're going to create an account. And I could even come in and modify this little label right here to say create account. That way when someone comes in here, they'll know. But we can also create other things as well and other objects. If you wanted to, you could even come in here and create a contact, because really you want a complete profile, because when I opened up that Salesforce record, there were no contacts for that account. So actually you could come in here, again, grab your credentials. Let's use Leroy's, and instead of creating an account this time, in addition, we'll create a contact as well, which is a different object. So there's contact. You'll see over here all the fields that are available for contact. Last name technically is the only one that's required, but we also want to put first name and the other ones in there as well. So you can just simply come in here and grab first name, email address, all that information that we wanted. You could add that in here. And when you want to map the data from the workflow, or the form, I should say, just click right here on the variables, and all those fields that were in the form, are right here. And you can simply just come down through here and you can find the person's name right here, target name, click insert, and that's going to be the contact. You're going to do the same thing for email address, last name, all those fields that you're capturing in the form. So come down, find email address, and put that in there as well. And I don't believe I captured it there, but that's okay. But you can map all that over. So that's how you configure each of the actions. Same thing for Box. We want to integrate with Box. What account do you want to use? Grab that account. I'm using Richard Rowe's account. Where do you want to store it? Just click on the little picker here, and it will. You choose the path, what folder you want to store it in, and then what do you want to call it? So we called it company name, the state it came from, and then the industry segment. So that's why you saw ABC Corporation, Georgia Financial in there. And so that's how we get it in. And then you just simply come down here and fill out the rest of the workflow. So you're orchestrating this process and telling it exactly what you want it to do. So who do you want this to be assigned to? You'll dynamically do this, but I just stuck my alias in here, Leroy Brown. That's where all the emails came to. But the subject of the email right here, body of the email right here. And then what's beautiful about this is that when you went and responded to that task, there were two responses, either review and edit or assign to the previous reviewer. This change state down here tells the workflow where you want it to go. So all you do is say, hey, if we want to finish the review and we're done, I want to go next to VP final approval. You just click the little drop down, say go to VP final approval, takes the workflow from right here, sends it over here. If not, and we want to go somewhere else, we're going to go back here and go back to whoever the reviewer was that we did assign. So in this scenario, we'd send it back to this step. So that way, this individual can make more edits. They make their changes, comes back to this person. We've created a loop where once those edits are made, this person can reject it again, send it back for more edits until they approve it, and then it moves on. So that's how we orchestrate the process around in this particular example. So super, super easy to be able to come in here, build out your workflow, manage your workflow over here on the left-hand side. Any system of record that you want to communicate with at your stack for your organization, you can do on the left-hand side. Salesforce, SharePoint, we've got all that in here out of the box. But if you have a system of record that you want to connect with, and you don't see it on the left-hand side, you can bring in your own private connectors in here. Really, really straightforward to be able to communicate with just about any system of record you've got. Even legacy systems that don't have an API, we've got an answer for that. So hopefully this has been a good overview of this particular process, and you're going to choose the tools that you need to orchestrate your process that are all available in here. And if you have any little questions, reach out to us and let us know. Thanks.